Oh my. Oh. Oh, SJ. What is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, you beautiful, blasphemous people? Welcome back to The Rage. I'm your boy Nakasuchi. This is The Raging Atheist, and today we're gonna be looking at SJ and her horrible politics again. First, gotta send that shout out to my patrons. You guys are the shit. You guys are getting me through. If you'd like to see every video before they go on YouTube for just $1 a month, you can do so. There's also gonna be a lot more very good perks for the higher tiers. So, want to thank Jeff Schwartz for becoming a $20 member. Alright guys, so in my last video on SJ, we started to cover something that she was obviously reading, a bunch of bullshit, and we're going to continue that. But before we continue that, I need to make clear that she's reading an article that she wrote herself on her blog. So she's using herself, I guess, as some kind of credential. But we shouldn't be surprised, it is S.J. Thomason, and today she's gonna spew a lot more bullshit from her mouth.
During President Trump's State of the Union speech on February 6, Nancy Pelosi stood behind him and tore up his speech while on camera. This move was quickly lambasted by those in the media who support him and appreciated by those who do not. This was a visible, very visible display of the hostility between Democrats and Republicans in the White House. Over the next few weeks, Republicans asked Democrats to pull the No Ban Act bill, which would have rescinded President Trump's travel ban. The No Ban Act aims to rein in Trump's ability to, quote, suspend or restrict aliens from entering the United States and limit the administration from putting in place similar bans in the future. It also includes language that would prevent religious discrimination in various immigration-related decisions, such as whether to issue an immigrant or non-immigrant visa with certain exceptions.
Alright, so right away we just get a line of shit from SJ. SJ is a partisan hack who's gonna try to pretend not to be a partisan hack. So right away she's talking about how Nancy Pelosi tore up the State of the Union address this past year. Well, why did she do that? One of the reasons was she was leading the charge for impeachment against Trump, and Trump talked a lot of shit about her. But even before that, before the impeachment, Trump has talked nothing but shit about Nancy Pelosi. Dissed her, fucking talked shit about her and her daughter, talked shit about the entire Democratic Party, alienated the Democrats, didn't include them, didn't include Nancy. If you remember his very first executive order, his first day on office, he was passing out pens, and I do believe he quite deliberately left out Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, in that. So Donald Trump has demonized Nancy Pelosi since his campaign. Is that an act of aggression? Was that a display of hostility, SJ? Or is it just on Nancy Pelosi for doing a thing that most of us leftists actually appreciated? Trust me, I'm no Nancy Pelosi fan, but when she tore up that State of the Union address, I was like, go girl. And then she's going to talk about like the No Ban Act and banning China and Iran. And that's going to be her go-to staple for how Trump has handled this pandemic in some miraculous, God-given way. Completely ridiculous, completely atrocious, drink GPH. But she talks about religious exceptions for immigration. Religious exceptions? Like if you're not a Christian, you don't have to come in here? I mean, are you applauding that, S.J. Thomason? Are you applauding the xenophobia and racism of a racist president?
On February 28th, President Trump tweeted this, quote, "The do-nothing Democrats were busy wasting time on the immigration hoax and anything else they could do to make the Republican Party look bad, while I was busy calling early border and flight closings, putting us way ahead in our battle with coronavirus. Dems called it very wrong," end quote. On March 11th and 14th, President Trump stopped flights from 28 European countries, which roiled markets and added to severe economic disruptions. The coronavirus was labeled a pandemic. On March 12th, the No Ban Act bill was finally pulled. Quote, "Democrats could not have picked a worse week to try to undermine American travel restrictions," Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said on the White House floor Wednesday. President Trump's quick decision to restrict travel to countries like Iran and China was a smart response, and it is helping keep America safe, end quote.
All right, so all SJ is doing is regurgitating the propaganda bullshit that Trump regurgitates. That's all she's doing. Donald Trump's ban on travel to China wasn't a ban on travel to China. We know that after that ban took effect, 40,000 Americans flew back and forth to China. So there was no ban, but there was a ban on Muslim countries. And then she's talking about like March 11th and March 14th, he finally bans travel to some European countries. Not the UK, mind you, who was the worst European country at the time. But we're talking March 11th and March 14th, SJ. He had intelligence on January 1st. He had the CDC telling him this would become a pandemic on January 8th. 2 months later, he starts to take action, and you're gonna uphold that as Trump doing a miraculous fucking job? And I mean, seriously, yo, Kevin McCarthy is a bitch boy. And if you're gonna have to quote Kevin McCarthy, well then, you're right there with him.
On March 26th, Speaker Nancy Pelosi lamented President Trump's, quote, slow response in a tweet. Quote, Trump's chaotic response coupled with misinformation and obstruction fails to address Americans' real concerns. He continues to be out of touch with the people. Probably the best thing President Trump did was to issue a travel ban from China and Iran in late January when the coronavirus was primarily in those countries. The move likely prevented millions from catching the disease and thousands from dying. Yet rather than thanking him, his political opposition has demonized him. Here's a president who endures daily beatings only to be ridiculed for making a decision that saved many. And I'm stating this as a registered Democrat, surprise all of you. Actually, now I'm in the middle. I'm a moderate. I'm no longer a Democrat. I actually kicked them to the curb.
Again, her argument is he banned travel to China and Iran. Now, there are over 41,000 people dead from coronavirus in this country at the time of me filming this video. By the time I actually release it, it'll probably be over 50,000 people dead from coronavirus in this country. What he did wasn't enough. And as I pointed out, 40,000 Americans flew back and forth to China after that ban took effect. And as was also pointed out, he didn't ban European countries till much, much later, allowing the virus to get here. And S.J. Thomason literally claims right there that Trump saved millions of people from getting COVID-19 with his ban. I need to see some data for that. I need to see evidence for that. Because it seems to me that it would be a lot less if he'd actually taken immediate action. And now, and we'll talk about this later, he's pushing to reopen the country too soon. So guess what? Maybe those millions of people will actually get it this time, SJ. And I mean, it's just hilarious. Like daily beatings on Trump from the Democrats. Like the Democrats aren't even left, SJ. So you're giving yourself away. You're gonna sit here and claim that you was a Democrat and you kicked them to the curb. I don't think you kicked them to the curb. We don't want you. We don't want your type. And you're obviously giving yourself away to be the far right Trumper that you are. Now, I will give you credit because today, as I'm filming this video, I did see you kind of call out the Republicans for trying to open it up too early. But it was very weak sauce calling out of the Republicans, SJ. You're sitting here giving them your full fucking support.
Because I don't like this kind of behavior. They're rewriting history and they're lying. The coronavirus pandemic has crippled the world economy and stoked fears about our health and economic security. If the Democrats and Republicans keep engaging in bipartisanship, the U.S. will go the way of the Roman Empire. Are the evangelical Christians to blame? What? President Trump coined the term fake news, referring to storylines from the New York Times, the Washington Post, or CNN. For the past couple of years, I've been skeptical of his assertions. But when I noticed an op-ed piece on March 27th of 2020 by Catherine Stewart in the New York Times entitled, "The Road to Coronavirus Hell Was Paved by Evangelicals," I now see his point. Rather than properly sourcing the coronavirus in the Wuhan city of China, Stewart squarely laid the blame for this pandemic on evangelical Christians of all people. Why? She asserted that Trump's, quote, response to the pandemic has been haunted by the science denialism of his ultra-conservative religious allies. What planet is she on?
I mean, what planet is she on? How about the planet where the simple eye test will tell you the truth? How about him calling all the religious leaders to get their advice? How about his constant communication with Franklin Graham, Jerry Falwell Jr., all of those types? What about Paula White? What about his incessant pandering to the Christians? And you're about to talk about Easter. I mean, and that was obvious. And you're going to try to, deny it? You're going to try to deny that he panders to a bunch of Christian extremists, SJ? Well, maybe you don't see that because you're a fucking extremist.
He then cited two religious leaders who refused to shutter their doors, claiming God would protect them, and asserted that President Trump is perfectly in tune with the religious nationalists who form the core of his base. No, he's not. Trump told people to stay home. This is a blatant lie from this woman, and I can't believe the New York Times had the gall to publish it. If that is not evidence of fake news, the end of her diatribe is, demonstrating the most telling indicator of her hatred for Christians, Christianity, and Christian holidays. She may not realize Trump speaks within a country of mostly Christian people who are well aware of the timing of the Easter holiday. Quote, here's what she says, "Yet none of the benign uses of religion in this time of crisis have anything to do with Mr. Trump's expressed hope the country would be, quote, opened up and just raring to go by Easter." He could, of course, have said by mid-April, but Mr. Trump did not invoke Easter by accident, and many of his evangelical allies were pleased by his vision of packed churches all over the country. Seriously? President Trump expressed a hope and a vision of an ideal. Her straw man is obnoxious.
What straw man? He literally said he wanted the country to open up by Easter, and then after pushback, backed away like the little bitch he is. But he didn't back away for long, did he? Because now he's calling for states to reopen, and he's placating, saying, oh, I'll leave it up to the governors. But he's not, is he? And we do have southern Republican states reopening. We have Georgia reopening. And we have the mayor of Atlanta freaking the fuck out because a whole bunch of people are about to fucking die. I mean, SJ, you're supposed to be an intelligent woman and you're sitting here trying to rewrite history. Trump told people to stay home? Really? After months of ignoring COVID-19, after months of doing nothing, he then finally shuts down the country? He then finally issues some guidelines just to say that he wants to open it back up? Right after that, open it back up on Easter, just to have pushback, and then just to say, well, I changed my mind again, and we're gonna reopen it up. I have authority. And then when there's pushback on that, he's like, well, we'll leave it to the governors, but I'm gonna tweet out to my rabid followers that they need to liberate Michigan, my home state, SJ. Is that Donald Trump telling people to stay at home when he's talking to protesters and telling them not to?
Which, of course, the ideal would be achieved if the coronavirus is halted. That's probably not going to happen. Trump made that clear. But rather than consider his words and what he intended, Stewart erected a straw man to demonize him and evangelical Christians. One must wonder what drives people like her to such hostility. It's almost demonic.
So are you calling this journalist demonic? Is that what you're doing, SJ? I mean, how about you? What does it take for you to have such hostility that you will come on your YouTube channel and blatantly lie and misrepresent the truth? What hostility does that take, SJ? Is it demonic? You know, I hear a lot of people say that S.J. Thomason isn't so bad. That S.J. Thomason, she isn't one of these extremists. Maybe not. But S.J. Thomason is part of the Trump death cult. I don't think there can be any denying that. S.J. Thomason is okay with Donald Trump, his politics, and the way he goes about it. I don't think there's any denying that. And for that, SJ, I have to tell you to go fuck yourself. As always, I'm your boy Nakasuchi. This is The Raging Atheist on the Rage. If you like our videos, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share us on your social media, comment in the comment section below, hit that bell so you're notified every time we make a new video or every time we have a new live stream. And as always, I'll see you soon.